Do you know the kind of people who laugh at almost everything, no matter how tense the situation is? No matter how seriously others are taking it, they can still smile or laugh, as if nothing is really that big of a deal. At first glance, it's easy to think they're carefree, or that they're simply not deep enough to feel sadness. But have you ever stopped to wonder why someone would learn to smile so often? The truth is, that smile doesn't always come from happiness. Sometimes it's a reflex, a way to soften the atmosphere, a way to keep things from spiraling out of control, and sometimes a way to hide what's too hard to put into words. People who laugh like that usually aren't doing so because life has been easy on them, but because they've been through enough to understand that if they don't hold themselves together, no one else will do it for them. People often assume that those who have lived through too many storms will carry a colder gaze, a more guarded voice, and an invisible distance from the world. It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? After being knocked down so many times, who wouldn't want to build walls to avoid getting hurt again? But psychology tells a different story. Many people who grew up in chaos do not become hardened. They become the ones who know how to soften a space. They enter a room and somehow lower the emotional temperature of it. With a gentle joke, with a presence that is just enough. Not because they have forgotten the storms, but because their nervous systems have learned how to turn chaos into order, how to turn tension into something that can be breathed through. That gentleness is not fragile. It is like a small lamp, quietly lit by those who have spent a very long time living in the dark. But behind that gentleness is a nervous system that has never truly rested. People who have been through too much often move through life as if they are carrying an invisible radar with them. They don't just look at a room, they read the room. They notice shifts in tone, a fleeting glance, or the moment the atmosphere subtly slips out of rhythm. Psychology calls this a state of heightened vigilance, a survival mechanism formed when safety was never guaranteed. They sit with their backs to the wall, choose seats near the exit, and always know when it's time to stay silent. Not out of fear, but because their brains have learned how to predict the storm before the clouds even begin to gather. Because they live in a constant state of observation, these people carry many paradoxes within them. They can remain calm in the face of major upheavals, as if they've grown used to standing steady in the middle of a storm. Yet they are deeply affected by the smallest details, a careless remark, a subtle shift in someone's attitude. Psychology suggests that when chaos was once familiar, the brain learns to cling to what can be controlled. They keep their spaces orderly, their schedules clear, and small things exactly where they belong. Not because they crave control, but because that sense of order acts like an anchor, holding them in place amid waters that once swept them too far away. This also explains why people who have been through too much often don't have many relationships around them. They don't seek crowds. They seek places that are quiet enough to breathe. They open the door very slowly, as if testing the safety of every single step. But once they allow someone in, their attachment is deep and enduring, like those who have wandered for a very long time, and when they finally find shelter, they don't leave easily. That isn't emotional withdrawal, it's the psyche's way of choosing carefully to protect connections that are warm enough and real enough. And if you look a little deeper, you'll notice that these people often carry a very particular kind of maturity. Psychology calls it post-traumatic growth. Not because the pain disappears, but because they have learned how to restructure themselves from the inside out. After hitting rock bottom, they are no longer pulled by what is superficial. Their priorities become clearer, their values settle, and joy no longer lives in brief emotional peaks, but in a steady sense of fullness and safety. Like someone who once wandered lost in the night, when they finally regain their sense of direction, they no longer rush forward blindly, but learn to honor each grounded step on their own path. But beneath that steady exterior lies a very subtle kind of sadness, so delicate that even they struggle to name it. Many of them carry a vague sense of longing, not for a specific place, but for a state that has been lost, a version of themselves that once believed the world was safe. Psychology calls this the nervous system's grief, when it was forced to grow up too soon. It's like missing a home that collapsed long ago, yet the warmth of it still lingers in the body. And even though they have learned how to stand firm, have built a life that is solid enough, sometimes in moments of deep quiet, that longing gently knocks, not to pull them backward, but to remind them that they once lost something, and not they survived. So if you ever meet someone like this, don't be too quick to think they are dry or distant. Don't assume they are numb or that they've grown cold toward life. Psychology suggests that people who have been through too much are not broken. They have simply been restructured by experience. Like a lighthouse standing after a storm, it doesn't shine because it never collapsed, but because it learned how to remain standing through the darkest nights. Their calm is wisdom, their gentleness is strength, and their selectiveness in relationships is how they protect the most vital part of themselves. If you see yourself in these words or recognize someone familiar, share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes, simply having these quiet experiences named is already a very powerful step toward healing.